Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Great Black Speakers Podcast, where we connect through conversation. I am your host, Lawrence Watkins. I am the founder and CEO of Great Black Speakers. I'm also the president and chief operating officer of the Black Business School. So today we have a very special guest. I've been extremely excited about the interview that's coming up right now. Our guest is Walter Cotton III. And Walter is the managing partner of the Cotton Exchange, which is a boutique consulting firm focusing on helping contractors increase their position with the federal government. And today we're talking all about how Black businesses are out here making billions of dollars in combined contracts by contracting with the federal government. And Walter's an expert on this subject, and he's given his time today to speak to you all about this lucrative opportunity. So, Walter, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm well. If I was any better, it'd have to be two of me.
Okay, there we go. You're twins now. That's awesome. So, can you explain to the audience a little bit about what you do and how you've gotten to this point in your career?
Sure. And it probably would help by providing a little bit of a backstory on my government contracting experience, because I'm probably best known nationally for having helped the disabled veteran business community grow their contracting with the federal government from just north of $700 million to well north of $13 billion before I left the advocacy ranks. And I was able to do that because of necessity, right? I'm a business owner like everyone else, and had to go through the school of hard knocks to acquire my experience. And my necessity came from the need to crack the code in federal contracting. I learned at a late stage in my entrepreneurial career that the government had established a 3% contracting goal for veterans. And I figured that with my experience, there wasn't a better place that I could apply my talents that would yield generational wealth for my family. So like any other individual, I did the smart thing. I loaded up my truck and I went to DC, right? And I learned a very valuable lesson about contracting with the federal government. And that was that you need more than just a preference in order to get business with the government. But if you're able to crack the code, like the characters in that movie War Dog, and if you haven't seen it, I'd suggest that you do it, because it's almost like a documentary on what I'm talking about. The contracts are absolutely lucrative. So to make a long story short, I found my way to the joint venturing business methodology, used that to acquire my first federal contract, which was novel at that time. It was an $8 million contract, and they put me on the cover of magazines as the $8 million man. And the like. But the difference between myself and what someone else would have maybe done with as opposed to hoarding it and keeping it to myself, what I did was got together with a tribe of brothers and went across the country evangelizing to every veteran or disabled veteran who would listen the good news about disabled veteran contracting. And that's how we were able to move that needle from 700 million to, as I said, it's trending well north of 19 billion now.
You said $19 billion in federal contracts for disabled American veterans that you've been a part of?
Correct. Yeah. And one of the things that I want to caution the audience that is listening, because like you have heard all kinds of stories about how you can get rich tomorrow and use social media to become the social phenom, or you go get 5 people and they get 5 people, right? I've heard all of the ideas in terms of how you can use your skills to create generational wealth. There's nothing more proven than the federal government's inelastic budget, right? They have over $300 billion year over year that they have to spend in order to keep the government going. And what a lot of the listeners and viewers don't know is that you have a disruptive preference in contracting with the federal government. What you're hopefully going to hear or glean from this podcast is that there is a proven solution, a proven system that you can use to acquire your desired share. But back to your question, yes, I'm talking billions with a B. So let's make sure that we alert the audience that we're talking about thorough riches here, not ghetto digits today.
No, I got it. And, before I continue on in terms of why, Black organizations and, Black entrepreneurs need to be, moving more, forward into government contracting, what got you involved with working with disabled American veterans?
Well, I'm a disabled veteran myself, and I had the unfortunate experience of having my military career cut short by a service-connected injury rather. And as a result of that injury, I went down a vocational rehabilitation path, which took me through college. I finished my degree and found myself working in Fortune 500 companies. So as a disabled veteran that had that unique experience, once I cracked the code on federal contracting, I recognized that my brothers and sisters that were in boots that didn't have my unique pathway weren't going to be able to find their way to this solution because the government's not good about leaving breadcrumbs to show people the way. So as I said, once I found my way, the selfless thing that I did was turn my attention to going back and helping others. As the good book says, to one whom much is given, much is expected. And as a result of that selfless effort and helping all of those veterans, I acquired an enormous knowledge in small business contracting, but my affinity, my allegiance to the veteran and disabled veteran business community is because I am a disabled veteran myself.